So yeah, this is where the coffee comes in. So we've got our dock here, and I mean, kind of at the core of it, we spend a lot of time intentionally sourcing coffee. So over the last 15 plus years, I've traveled around the world, Central South America, Southeast Asia, East Africa, to focus on, come alongside farmers and try to highlight the hard work that they're doing in order to bring the product back here, roast, and then ship out to customers. So this is kind of where it starts. So coffee comes in these burlap bags, roughly 150 pounds per bag, and yeah, gets shipped in on these pallets, and then we bring it into the middle warehouse over here. Yeah, the burlap gives a nice authentic material from origin. And here's a good little tribute. Beautiful. So, you know, kind of a Day of the Dead action right there. Yeah. But yeah, some of these folks get really creative with their bags. We have a coffee from India, which we haven't had in a really long time. But yeah, man, just beautiful. Like, we've never seen a bag like that at all. So yeah, the hard work is done before the coffee gets to us. And so, I mean, I've spent a lot of time on coffee farms through the years and have worked on some of the coffee farms alongside the producers. And it's amazing, like the work that goes into it, the care that's taken, and how much you can impact the quality. And, you know, our real philosophy is that once you put something into the roaster, you can't make it any better. You can only reveal what's there, right? And so that's why we're so intentional about the sourcing of the coffee, is that it has to be quality. I mean, it's like any input, you know, like junk in, junk out, you know, something good in. Now, you can mess things up in the roaster, that's for sure, but you can't actually make them any better. You can only reveal what was true of it to begin with. We've got 3 incredibly talented roasters, Adam, Nick, and Josh. Throughout the day, man, there's just little stuff, right? So like even what Nick is doing right now may not seem that important, but you know, using the brush to clean out any little fractured, fragmented beans so that it's cooling consistently. It's just like those little touches make a big difference. And this is real craftsmanship. So throughout the process, he is using multiple senses. So he's looking at the coffee as it's being roasted, he's smelling it, moisture content and bean density and the varietal of the coffee and what elevation it was grown at and what region. Like, all of those things play into what is happening in the roaster, how the heat is going to impact it. You can buy a roasting machine where you dump the coffee in, you press a button, and the coffee comes out, you know, 10, 15 minutes later, but that's not what we're doing here.
Part of craftsmanship is just organization, you know, like having the scale right there. Not losing any time. When I look over here and see your lanes all striped out, like sometimes being great at something is just as simple as getting down on the floor and putting tape down so that you know where something's supposed to be.
Right. The little things. So we had an issue. What happened was we had a bucket with wheels that was moving coffee and hit a crack between 2 concrete patches that had been put together, and it dumped. Which was a lot of lost coffee. And so called my buddy Nick Dancer and said, hey, got a problem here, how can we fix this? And so they came out, did some amazing work, patched it, and now we roll over that all the time with no issues. Nice. So little things like that make a big difference in a production. And yeah, from a craftsmanship perspective, just very well aligned on that stuff.
Nice, these patches came out pretty good.
Yeah, they did.
Cool. There's no, yeah, that's like totally flush with the existing.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah,
cool.
Nice and smooth.
Yeah.
So
I think honoring, you know, filling old cracks but leaving them visible in polished concrete is so cool. Like honoring the history of the building. We've made it flat and it's good, but we're leaving in these minor imperfections that kind of tell a story of this building. And
for sure,
you're the most recent tenants, right? Like, but it's been,
you know, we always see this stuff as just an opportunity to steward it for this season, right? It was here long before me. Hopefully it will be here long after me, and someone else will get to come in and do things. But even the fact that this floor can also look like that, I love that too, right?
It's right underneath.
It's right underneath it. There's just a gem waiting. So we're taking coffee, putting it in a weight fill machine, and then sealing the bags from a freshness standpoint. Those bags then go into boxes that will ultimately ship out to the customer. So retail, direct to consumer all over the country, and then wholesale, so that's more like 5-pound bags that would go to cafes, businesses, churches, restaurants, that kind of thing.
We say we have the best office coffee in Fort Wayne, and it's because we have our 5-pound bags of espresso bolo. Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, fun industry, but it can be a tough business, and so we really try to focus on that craftsmanship, and you know, that is our goal. There's a marketer that I follow closely, Seth Godin, and he talks about a race to the bottom, and you know, that is not what we're trying to do. And so we believe that, you know, sourcing intentionally and focus on quality is ultimately what has gotten us to this point and will continue to allow us to be here.
It's a great foundation to build your business on, because it's never going to go out of style. It's not in style to take as much time and to care as much as what you do and what we do with our floors. But at the same time, it's what sets you apart. It creates your niche that allows you to be around for 20 years.
Yeah. Look, we started with $750 in 2006, and you know, we used to drive. I don't know if you guys remember Atz's ice cream that was here in town.
What was it?
Atz's ice cream.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so we were so poor, man. We had nothing. We would take 7-pound. They would have these buckets that they would just throw away. And so we went, and they were food grade. And so we said, hey, can we come and pick these up? And we knew what day they were putting them out. They would put them outside, and we'd have to pick them up that evening, or else they'd, you know, put them in the dumpster the next day. And so we'd go. It was either Tuesday or Wednesday night. We'd go and get the clean stack of buckets, take them home, and we could fit 10 pounds of green coffee, or about 7 pounds roasted. And we were under contract with a roaster being built for us. We got an economic development loan through the city in 2008, and so we were using that to buy a roaster. And so when that was in production, we had about a 6-month gap. And so we had to drive to, oh gosh, it was called the Blue Lion in Pierceton, Indiana. So it was about a 40-minute drive, I think, something like that. And we would load up as much as we could, as much as we needed, in these little buckets, these ice cream buckets, no longer with ice cream in them, they were cleaned out. But we would put 10 pounds of green coffee in them, label them with, you know, masking tape on the top. My cousin Patrick would roast them, bring them back, and at the end of the day, we'd be, you know, in the afternoon, kind of sitting them on his kitchen table, and we would pack from there. We had a little laptop set up with a printer, so we could print shipping labels. And usually by, you know, 5:30, his wife would be asking us to clear the table so we could eat dinner. They had, yeah. And I ate dinner there, you know, 5-6 nights a week when we were getting going, and so he would drive, bring it back, and those were fun days, man. But again, when we talk about craftsmanship, that idea, that was a small batch roaster. We were roasting 3 pounds at a time, and just how inefficient that process was to think back on is hilarious. I mean, to drive 45 minutes each way, you know, and at the time, I mean, we were probably roasting, I don't know, 20 to 50 pounds a day. We had so little when we began, and for so many years. I mean, I'm still using, you know, I'll go and get scrap paper out of the recycle bin and use that.
Sure.
I'm reusing labels for everything. But that's part of the ethos that I want us to have, right? And I think there's this balance, especially as you're growing and as you are pursuing craftsmanship. You don't want to have subpar things with which you're producing, right? So you don't want crappy roasters and, you know, dirty buckets and things like that. So you want to invest in the right places, but you also want to be resourceful, right? And I think that, I mean, that is one of our core values is be wise, do more with less. So I love being in this space. We refer to this as the coffee lab. I mean, that's how this is set up. It's what we were doing this morning, tasting coffees from farmers that we've worked with and making decisions on purchasing, which we're really excited for. But specifically in this space, I mean, this is where we really get to do a lot of quality control, quality assurance work. And it's also where we invite people in. So this is, you know, the place that we're bringing customers, prospects, and telling them about the process and how we want things to to go in terms of the vision that we have for the company. But a lot of the craftsmanship, happens on the other side of this wall in terms of roasting and everything. But this is where it's refined. This is where it's highlighted. And for us to have this beautiful space really reveals, I think, a lot of the work that was already done to get it to this point. And so to have a beautiful space with, great floors, great counters, great cabinets, all that stuff, it's just welcoming, it's inviting. We've got some soft seating, so people feel like they can come in here and have a cup of coffee and relax. And so ultimately, that's what we're trying to create, is an environment that speaks to the quality of our product. And I think that's why we were excited to work with Dancer, because that's what happens. Whenever we work with Dancer, it makes our facility better, it makes our process better, and I think it's indicative of the product and what we're trying to do with that.
When you share values like we do, it's just a natural union to come together and help have a hand in making this space for you guys, because like you said, the work goes on, the craftsmanship goes on the other side of this wall, but also your morning tastings, you're going tasting coffee and picking out notes, also a vital part of what you do, and that happens
Absolutely.
right in here.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. It's a beautiful space, and it's one of those places, when you feel like you're excited to bring someone into a space because you're proud of it. This is absolutely one of those spaces.
Yep. So as we're wrapping up here, could you tell us why you chose the name Utopian?
So originally the company was called Elysian Coffee. The Russell Crowe film Gladiator was there, and my cousin and I watched that a decent amount. And he's walking through these fields, I think it was probably wheat or something, and he talks about this idea of Elysium. And I thought, man, what a cool idea. So it's like the Greek idea of heaven. And as we started, and then this was back in 2005 when you had to type in the URL primarily. And I was thinking, well, Elysian is a hard word to spell for most people. And so how do we make this a little more approachable? And so looked up synonyms and saw Utopia. And I went on GoDaddy, and for $9.99, which was about all we had, we were able to buy utopiancoffee.com. And so that's how, but the whole idea was, the idea of Utopia is a perfect or ideal place or state of being. And so I truly believe, maybe naively, that we can use coffee to make the world better. And so that's kind of where the name came from and what we strive to do. It's a big part of why we go overseas. So we spend a lot of time, energy, resource to travel and to be alongside the people that are doing the hard work, who have probably received the least amount of benefit through the process. And it's been amazing. In fact, we were just in Guatemala 2 or 3 weeks ago with 3 of our employees, so we try to get our staff to have that experience as well, so that when they're coming into work every day, they know what it is that they're working for, who in some ways they're working for. It's not me. We all work for the farmers, and so trying to help highlight the hard work they do. And even these coffees that are here that we were tasting this morning. This woman, Alva Flores, has been farming for years. We've been buying her coffee, in fact 100% of her coffee, for I think 5 years now. And she's one of the producers that we got to spend time with when we were living in Mexico. And that's part of why we were in Oaxaca for 3 months. It's easy to drop into a place, and in many ways you kind of have to do that. You can't live everywhere all the time. So it makes sense that you're dropping into these places, but being there for 3 months, getting to visit the farms more regularly, was such a gift. And again, when we're talking about craftsmanship, you have to go to where it begins, right? And it starts at the farm level. And so getting to work with them and figure out how to come alongside them, support their efforts. This story is fun. We went there and I saw Alva and her husband, and they have part of the process is depulping. So you pick this fruit, and the coffee bean is actually a seed that is inside of this fruit. And so that fruit flesh needs to be taken off, so it goes through a depulper. And there's a manual way, right? A hand cranked depulper, and that's what they had. And it was, falling into a trough, and I have a picture, but there's an amount of it. And I said, how long did that take? And they said 2.5 hours. and it wasn't that much coffee.
Right.
And so I was talking to one of our guys that was with us and asked how much a motor cost. And we figured out it was going to be like $250. And so I asked, how much, what that would do. And we tried to run the numbers, but basically figured out that we could get them at least 100 hours back in that season alone from their harvest just by having this. And so it was like for $250, which, was, it's not nothing, but, by relative standards, it's not a ton of money for us. And so we were able to buy the motor, and then the next time we went back a few weeks later, brought this out, and they were so excited. And then a couple weeks after that, got this video of them just cranking out coffee. Yeah. And so little things like that are super gratifying, just getting to really partner with people in a meaningful way. That ultimately our hope was that makes the world better, right? So if she has now 100 more hours to be with her family or work on other parts of coffee, that's a win for everyone.
Yeah. And when the burlap bags come in with their beans, you got a face and a person that you know personally. It's not just a label, it's somebody that you know who you made a significant impact on their life.
That's the hope.
Yeah.